All right, hi everybody. Welcome to Beyond the Backcast, where I'm Upper talking to my buddy Braydon Ketty about Batman, the animated series. And this week is If You're So Smart, Why Aren't You Rich? How are you doing today, sir?
It's about time. How long have we been waiting for a Riddler episode?
Yes, in theory, this should have been our second Riddler episode, but like, what other episode, like, what was it that, like, should have been an Riddler episode, but wasn't?
The Wormwood one, Cape and the Cowl.
Oh, yeah. Ah, yes. I know, which is suiting because what was it like on Batman Day? Like what was like a week ago, not this past weekend, but the weekend before was Batman Day, and I went and saw Batman Forever in the theater, and they had like Jim Carrey as the Riddler, which he was a lot more pared down than I had remembered. I thought he was a little more Jim Carrey whack than he was, but they kind of somewhat reined him in for that movie, which I was somewhat surprised. Which I think they transferred over to Tommy Lee Jones to get him to be actually like somewhat animated.
Yeah, that's a
To
very
try and
Jokerized Two-Face in that
yeah,
movie.
to try and match like the manics between the two of them. Like, yeah, you tone it the fuck down, you tone it the way the fuck up.
Well, not to derail the intro too long, but did you know that apparently Tommy Lee Jones refused to like meet Jim Carrey off set after they made that movie because, and I quote, "I cannot stomach your buffoonery." Like
Yeah,
that's
Tommy
the
Jones.
pot calling the kettle black. Like,
Just not for like him, just as a whole, not for like the role, because Jim Carrey's obviously Jim Carrey, and then Tommy Lee Jones is very stoic. So like, yeah, so he's being like, hey, stop being so fucking crazy asshole, which just kind of true. But can't have Jim Carrey and not have him be Jim Carrey. So
yeah, you get what you paid for.
can it stomach your buffoonery? Yeah,
I'll see if I can send you that clip later.
Oh, yeah, I'm well aware of that. Yeah, like, yeah, that's one of the famous things that I remember from that movie. Yeah, more so than the movie itself. But yeah, as I said, this is if you're so rich, why aren't you? No, if you're so smart, why aren't you rich? Which is the 40th episode produced, and it was the 41st episode to air, which made air back in November 18th, 1992. So about 6 days after my 12th birthday. So go me. So it was written by David Wise, which the name doesn't sound familiar, so it must be his first episode or second, we doesn't remember, and directed by Eric Radomski, which also doesn't sound familiar. So I believe this is their first episode to direct as well. So yeah. Do you remember watching this episode like when it first aired, or like in the rewatches before today?
Well, that's the thing that kind of contradicts my own childhood memory because I thought that Riddler showed up more in this show. He shows up more than someone like Mr. Freeze, who like I was always like, on the edge of my seat whenever I saw him on the screen. But I thought that I had seen this episode. Maybe I saw little bits and pieces of it, but I'd never seen it, beginning to end. But this was actually a pretty good like Riddler introduction episode.
Yeah. Yeah, because I think he shows up more like later on in the series, because there is definitely is another one with the Riddler in it, and like to spoil the ending, like he's like caught in another room or maze type thing or whatever, and then it's rigged to explode, and like Batman manages to fucking survive the explosion, sends the Riddler to go crazy or whatever, and he ends up fucking like hiding in the safe or some shit or something like that. That was
Hmm.
like the wall safe that was on the wall or something like that. And he used ASI, which harkens back to his like Santana days to be able to fucking contort himself into a smaller plate, because obviously it wasn't like a huge fucking walk-in safe. It was just like a standard like square safe
Zatanna taught him
thing.
a
And so I
lot
think
about
he definitely
flexibility.
shows up. But I just remember thinking that this thing, it was her dad that was showing her teaching him stuff, and then later on it was the dad. I'm not sure if they allude to them hooking up in the show or not. I can't remember. Because
If
yeah, I
Bruce
don't think
is
that was
with any
I don't think that
woman,
was
I
a high.
think the assumption is that he's hooked up with her.
Yeah, but yeah,
Even
it's
Leslie
yeah.
Tompkins.
Uh,
That's right, Jaffe. You heard me.
I'm not sure if I'm not sure if I like that one. But yeah, so this is yeah, first Riddler episode, which yeah, I'm surprised like it took us like what yeah, the 41st 40th episode produced, 41st episode to air, and this is what our what like 35th or 36th episode.
On the show, yeah, like 30 plus episodes.
But yeah, so this starts off with I my first note was like the intro music with like the bleepy bloopy music. I was like, I do not like the sound of that at all.
It's very Danny Elfman.
So yeah, so it basically shows up in him like walking into like his workplace or whatever, which was what was the business called, or did it actually say it was just like his
Competitron,
competitor on that?
which I'm
That's a
like subtle.
oh that's a no, that's maybe that's why I didn't remember the name because it was so fucking bland and fucking dumb. It didn't
Yeah.
stick in my brain. So he started going to walk into his office, and he kind of see his boss waiting for him, and which made me think it was like looks like Bruce trying out like a bad like Latino fucking disguise that didn't quite work with the
Oh my
fucking
gosh,
thin
yeah.
with the thin with the like the thin mustache. Like
Yeah,
do it
I called him
try
Mockridge Malone.
yeah, or try to do his best Ricky Ricardo.
That's what I was going for. I'm like, yeah, he looks like the guy from I Love Lucy.
Riddler, you got some splaining to do. But yeah, so yeah, like walking to his office, and I always kind of like in a weird way, I always wanted to have like a door with like a nameplate for me on it. But but yeah, he goes in, he's like, "What the fuck? My office is locked." And he's like, "Yeah, this was your office." And you just see like the janitor just fucking dropping his nameplate in the garbage and just like walking away. Then Ricky Ricardo just comes up. He's like, we're there. Like, thanks for making us our multi-million dollar computer game, but you can fuck off now." Basically,
Yeah.
did it actually say that like Riddler was being like a dick or anything, or was it just like or was just the boss being a dick and just stealing his idea?
Well, I think they were really both kind of being a little too smug. So, like, well, one thing I wanted to touch on was like to introduce Edward Nygma before he becomes the Riddler a little bit. Um, One, I remember messaging you and I was like, I know why he reminds me of someone visually. He looks like the happiest man in Springfield from The Simpsons. Two, he's voiced by John Glover, who is also
Fuck, I knew I
known.
recognized the voice. I didn't fucking
Yeah.
look it up. Yeah, so I knew the voice. Yeah.
Well, I recognize him of because I'm a big Smallville fan as Lionel Luthor, and that regard. But you might also recognize him from Batman and Robin, where he played Dr. Jason Woodrue.
Oh fuck! Oh fuck! What was he Woodrow in that movie?
He was Wood.
Oh
Oh
fuck!
man, he was like. I love that. Like John Glover has like a lot of range as an actor. Like he's very underrated. But yeah, like picture a mad scientist in like your vision in the back of your head, and that's exactly what John Glover looks like in that movie. Like white streak in his hair, black rubber gloves, goggles, like just
Oh yeah, I
manic.
remember that movie because I think as I said before, like I'm pretty sure I said before, like in an earlier episode, that like Batman and Robin was the first Batman movie that I saw in the theater,
Yeah,
which in itself is sucks in itself. But and speaking of, as I was talking to you beforehand, like yeah, like last night, last night of the recording, I saw the '89 Batman in the theater, so that marks like then with like last weekend seeing Forever in the theater. I've seen all of except for the Adam West Batman movies in the theater now. So and it was a nice 35 millimeter print, so you got that little vinyl scratchy in the audio and that like freaking green like vertical line through like part of the screen for some of the movie and stuff. So I definitely kind of miss the 35 millimeter prints of stuff.
mhm. But yeah, to your question though, like is Riddler kind of justified in his anger? I mean, like if you created something, I
Well,
think yeah.
yeah, I was just saying, I just couldn't remember, yeah, if that boss is just being a dick and just kind of stealing his idea, being like in pushing mode, or if the said he did something other than just being like Edward Nygma-esque and being a little smug.
Well, yeah, Nygma definitely has a smug side that you see even before he becomes Riddler because like even when he's like, doing the crossword puzzle, he like, with a smile on his face just throws it against the thing. So it's like, maybe there's a reason the janitor's like, throwing your nameplate and just, like doing it kind of like passive aggressively. And he's like, "Have you lost what's, like resembled something close to your mind, Mockridge?" So yeah, he knows he's smart, but it's the fact that he's just like, like you can't match an intellect like mine. And that's where uh Mockridge gives a line that it still makes me laugh to this day is, "Oh yeah, well if you're so smart, why aren't you rich?" Which immediately made me think of The Simpsons. If he's so smart, how come he's dead?
Or just like, or it makes me think of something that was a bit more prevalent when I was like younger, like as a teen in in the 90s. Is it reminded me of Mensa? Like, right? Remember Mensa being a huge fucking deal back in the day? Like yeah, people have like IQ over whatever the number is, and they're smart people hanging out. But like, that's all they fucking did. Like, they weren't getting together to solve fucking A, B, or C. They're just smart people hanging out. Like, do fucking something, and then we'll be,
Cure cancer, solve poverty.
or
Like,
no, or
yeah,
not even that. Like, just fucking something. They always made a big deal about like Mensa being like smart people. Like, yeah, but and then what?
yeah.
Like, you're
And
just
then we rest on our laurels.
yeah, like fucking anything. Like, I'm not saying like do like solve like everyone's money problems or fucking cure cancer or fucking this or that. Like, fucking anything other than hey, we're smart people hanging out. Like,
Mm,
so the fuck what? Like, maybe that's why we don't hear as much about Mensa as they once were, because people realize, like, so the fuck what?
yeah.
Like, I don't know. I don't know why I'm good. Like, not that I'm going against Mensa, but like, I don't know, I never understood why it was such a fucking big deal because they're just like, hey, we're smart people and we're hanging out. And it always made me think that also too, like, not that I'm not downplaying her at all, but like, like Asia Carrera was like, I remember Mensa, and it was, and she's like a porn star from like like the 80s and 90s.
Oh, no
So
way.
I just like, yeah, like I have no issue with that at all. So I was just wondering if all the smart people are fucking like all snooty and looking down on her because she was like a porn star. So like, it always made me funny, that made me laugh that like she that she was part of there just to fucking stick at all the smart snooty people that are probably a few of them that probably were rich and playing off their smarts or whatever, and making some money off it. So it always made me laugh. Like, they're probably fucking being shitty about it.
We spit on the peons from our ivory tower.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So I believe that's when it cuts to 2 years later, and it's
Oh wait, was it 2 years? But
Mockridge.
okay, I missed that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a little like caption at the underneath that said it was 2 years later because Riddler had to have time to kind of plan things out. So Mockridge has decided that he's peaked with the success of the Riddle of the Minotaur game and he wants to sell it to Bruce Wayne and Lucius Fox. But it's funny because like he says like, if you're so smart, why aren't you rich? All he's done to success at this like Minotaur game is pretty much just the yogurt from Spaceballs method. Merchandising, like Riddle of the Minotaur t-shirts, Riddle of the Minotaur amusement park. He's literally got an amusement park. Like Riddle of the Minotaur flamethrower. Like
Which will work for the Griffins later on in the episode.
yeah, I'm mentioning those Griffins later on. We're going to get to that, but Griffins, my balls. Yeah, so Bruce is like, like I want to, like get all this so that we can, like build jobs for, the people of Gotham, I guess like at the amusement park. You'd think that Bruce Wayne, of all people, would not want an amusement park in his city, not for like, that he's against business or, the merriment of children, but
It's like
amusement parks
I got to
tends
memorize
to,
this layout to eventually fight the Joker in when he takes this one over.
yeah,
Well, yeah, or does just take over like one of like the five that are already abandoned. There's
yeah,
probably three. There's probably three down by the fucking coastline that are probably could be a prime location for it. So I guess
exactly.
so maybe that's why you're thinking, yeah. So you can have a little bat like a remote bat cave like underneath it or whatever,
Yeah,
or up in the Paramount Castle like in Wonderland.
yeah. So that's where Mockridge is trying to, push him this deal. And they're like what do you call it? Like against like the window, he can see this telegraphed message, which I guess is like something you'd see from like the electronic kind of message strip
Yeah, the
you'd see
billboard,
from the
yeah, just
stock
say
market.
it, yeah, doing like stock market type stuff, or just like
That's what it's going for, yeah.
or like if you're like, because I live in Toronto, if you're like younger in Dundas, say at Dundas Square, there's all the fucking LED signs and just being like, hey, check this out, sort of thing, or whatever, probably pre-warned, and then Mockridge walks over to the window, and then that it has one of the Riddler's riddles on it. Like, and what was the riddle again? Did you write it down? I should have, but I
I
didn't.
did, yeah. Why do multi-billion-dollar deals break down in the wasteland? And you know what makes me laugh is how pissed would Riddler have been if, like, for some reason or another, like they decided to move the meeting to another side of the building.
Or if
So,
like the just like the blinds were closed or something like that,
yeah,
or like the desk was just facing out, like not out the window, so they're just so they wouldn't have seen it.
like they're doing it in like a boardroom with like the middle of the building. There's no window. It's like, damn it.
Or it's up on like the 70th floor because it's Wayne Enterprises building, so obviously it's like the tallest building in one of the
Yeah, it's
tower
like far
at least
outside of
in
his eye
Gotham.
line.
Yeah, sorry, like yeah, so you probably could see the LED sign, but just like that it's red and flashing, but I can't read it for shit because it's so far down.
Yeah, exactly. So that's where Bruce Wayne and Lucius Fox are like, Mockridge, like, what are you looking at? And they miss the message, but Mockridge is like, nothing. We're gonna have to reschedule the meeting. He grabs his stuff and runs out quickly. But the look on Bruce and Wayne and Lucius Fox's face is so funny because it's like, does this putz think he's gonna walk out on Bruce Wayne and get another meeting? Like, he is not coming back.
But also too, like, doesn't like Bruce do like a bit more in depth, like uh not sure. It's like he looks into the businesses before he buys them and stuff. So you probably should have known that he stole it from Nygma, or is that, or do you think it was too buried in the paperwork of the business or whatever?
Well, it's
'Cause-
funny that you mentioned that because he will mention that he knows who Nigma is. So it's like, so in other words, you're happy to roll in from the profit of this deal and leave the guy who's like the actual creator. Like, something tells me that this version of Batman would like Bob Kane a lot more than Bill Finger if you know the history of those two people.
yeah, but that also contradicts like an earlier episode where he did like some I can't remember what the episode, but there was like some business deal that would have done bad, so he did. Yeah, so yeah, no, I think it was the Poison Ivy episode or whatever,
Hmm.
because like he the one deal that would have taken over like the whatever the like the swamp or whatever the fuck it was, and he poo-pooed the deal, and then went ahead anyway, and she thought that's why she went after Bruce Wayne because she thought like it was like him that put because he was like the head of Wayne Enterprises. Yeah, it was his fault that the whatever the fuck it was that happened. And I think it was like I think it was like the turning people into trees episode, right? So yeah, so yeah, I think it was so that made me think of that episode where we would like you'd actually like do some research into this shit and know what the fuck was going on. So, but I guess like if you did that, the episode would be done in like 5 minutes.
Pretty much, yeah. So I think that Bruce actually caught the tail end of the message. and that's when he goes to the Batcave and he's, trying to solve the answer to the riddle. So that's when we have Robin in this episode. We're getting more Robin in the
Yeah,
the episodes moving forward, and he's playing the actual game that Mockridge was trying to sell him, Riddle of the Minotaur, which Alfred points out like you're playing a video game on a $50 million computer. And
yeah,
thankfully,
and
Batman's not bringing it up, but
yeah, no, that made me think like even though it was probably one like a state-of-the-art computer, it's probably not set up for gaming. So even if it is like a quote unquote high-end computer, is pay like it's probably won't be able to play games on it, like let alone like like one that's coded for like consoles or whatever. Because I imagine like there's probably not very many PC computer games. I guess there is if you just play it on a computer, but
well, a little story from my childhood because I thought of this scenario potentially happening. When I was a kid, like, we had like CD-ROMs and stuff like that, and where you had to like install the games like physically as opposed to like just downloading them. We installed Roller Coaster Tycoon, and for some reason, Roller Coaster Tycoon like wrecked our family computer.
yeah,
Like it completely shut down. Like we had no computer for like ages, and like my parents also used it for their stuff. So I'm just picturing like what happens if like Dick puts the thing in the computer and all of a sudden like it crashes the back computer. Like we're
like
just gonna be livid.
I'm so old that I remember fucking loading Wolfenstein off a fucking 3.5-inch floppy disk thing. So I imagine that's probably what it is. Or actually, I remember playing a game off a fucking 5 1/4 disk. So I remember which I imagine probably what is probably what the back computer takes is like the 5 1/4s, like
Yeah,
the big old fucking floppy disks that hold like 200K like bytes.
yeah. So one thing I think that we gotta quickly dive into here is Dick's kind of walkthrough of the game because it will come up later on in the episode. So yeah, the concept of the game is that you're walking through this maze and you have to solve riddles as you're going further along. And I believe that he was asking a couple questions that would come up later in the episode, like what is the shortest distance between a point in Nome, Alaska, and a point in Miami, Florida? And when you get an answer wrong, you get grabbed by the hand of fate. So another Manos reference. There we go.
And
And
there was also like a video game too from like 15 ish years ago that you were kind of like the hand of God or whatever. Or like you were a floating hand and you kind of made like a world or some shit or something like
oh, really?
that. Wasn't there? I think so, but I couldn't remember what it was called. But so, I mean, it also made me think of that game. So it
Yeah.
didn't just kind of swoop in every so often, but you were like kind of I don't know, I can't remember what it was. I didn't play it. I just remember like seeing shit for it and stuff, and it made me think of that, but I didn't look
I
it
was
up.
kind of
So
late into the gaming like phase. Like my first console I ever had was a GameCube, so that kind of dates me in terms of like my kind of childhood history. But yeah, I'm a lot of the older style games, like back in the early '90s. I wasn't as much like familiar with, but yeah. So when the Hand of Fate grabs you in the game, it takes you to the Wasteland, which I guess is like the Monopoly version of like jail.
yeah,
Um, and when Batman hears the Wasteland, he remembers that Mockridge has a club in Gotham called the Wasteland. So is this the same guy who like named the Wild Deuce in the Two-Face episode? Like, what a stupid name for a club. Unless it's all for the pun of just, I want to get wasted at the Wasteland, bud.
that does kind of sound like Gotham-esque. So I
Yeah.
wouldn't put it past them.
But even stuff like Iceberg Lounge, like I'd go to a place like that. Like as far as I know, there's even a place in London advertise well, obviously cashing in on the Batman mythos, but like, yeah, it looks like a ritzy club, like it lives up to the name. It's not just like just a gimmick.
Okay, the game I was thinking of is called Black and White. It came out in 2001. It's
It's
an
literally
EA
just
game.
called Black and White.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, okay.
I'll send you a link. Yeah, so yeah, 2001.
Interesting.
So it's a bit older than I remember. So maybe that's why you don't remember it.
Yeah. Yeah, pretty much anything before like Super Mario 3 is like,
No, no, this is 2001. So
oh, really?
Super Mario 3 was like fucking like the early 90s, man, or mid 90s, man. What are you talking
Oh yeah. No, no, that's what I'm
about?
saying. Like, other than
It-
like Mario Kart and Super Mario 3, like I am like just a putz when it comes to gaming. So, yeah, Batman realizes like, uh, this person is asking Mockridge to meet him at the Wasteland, and that's where Mockridge is shown meeting a figure in the dark, and he realizes immediately it's Nygma, and we get our first appearance of the Riddler. So, what are your thoughts on the visual look of the Riddler here?
Yeah, I always like this like with their costume with like the green bowler hat and like the green suit and stuff. I just maybe wish that I could pull off a bowler hat. I like a top hat and that works because I kind of work for me being tall, but like I don't think I'd be able to pull off a bowler hat. So it's
Hmm.
between this and like what was that movie that Pierce Brosnan did? Like that he was also like a spy or something like that. They like fucking that he was like a thief or something like that. And
That's exactly what I was thinking. The Thomas Crown Affair.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, I always
Yeah,
forget what the yeah Thomas Crown Affair. Like between like this and like that, I like wish I could pull off a bowler hat, but I don't think I'd be able to. 'Cause I think
yeah. It's funny. That's exactly where my mind
yeah.
went
So I
too.
think I think I look a bit too silly with one. I don't think I so. But yeah, but I was like, yeah, but yeah, as I said, this is probably one of my like, not that I really don't think I know any visual looks of the Riddler, but this is I think my favorite one.
Yeah, same. I like that he's got kind of more confidence, which I think when they knew, I don't know if they knew before they started drawing the Riddler that they were going to have John Glover, but the voice very much matches the character. He's got this kind of swagger and suaveness to him. And I have a production note here from a DVD featurette that they were talking about the Riddler design. The creative team had commented that Riddler had been popularized by Frank Gorshin's Riddler from the 1960s. But when they were adapting the character for this show, Bruce Timm wanted a personality wise that wasn't like the Gorshin, but more deliberately serious, suave, intellectual, just to kind of put their own stamp on him. And Andrea Romano had remarked that she had brought in John Glover to voice the Riddler, was a very nice man, but had a quality to his voice that was a little scary. And you see in this scene a little evidence of that because, you know, uh, Mockridge thinks that this is just an extortion thing. And Riddler's like, oh no, I don't want money. I want you. And like that's the scene we get right before a quick commercial break. And like just with the shadowy kind of visuals over his face, like it's really well done. And one thing I will also note that I only realized after watching this just before we started recording is immediately when they put the mask on him, Riddler's face becomes a lot more animated. Like when he was, Nigma in the scene before, he was just kind of like, just very still and like he had a bit of, kind of arrogance to his kind of character visually and his body language. But here he's just like he kind of twists. He's got more kind of, I don't know, personality to him. And I like it. I think it works for the character.
Uh, And it's looking right now, it's just they're talking about what the Riddler looks like is like when you said like what when you were first saying what he looks like, my note was that he kind of looks like Tintin grew up to be a piece of shit.
Oh, that's good. Yeah. Yeah, he just got the Tintin haircut.
Yeah. Because yeah, that was in my mind because at Fan Expo past year in Toronto, there was somebody that was dressed up as a really good Tintin and had like a pet dog that was like the dog and stuff. So I saw him. I was like, "You're fucking Tintin." He's like, "Yeah." I'm like, "Yeah, it's that's what I thought." Because
Nice.
I think I have a couple of the old Tintin books or whatever over there, but I fucking read the shit out of them, so they're not in the best of shape, but I think they're around here somewhere. Yeah.
Are they
That's
in
why, like,
French?
yeah, good. I know. I thought he was English, wasn't he?
No, it started as like a French cartoon.
Well, but it was. books before that, though, wasn't it?
Uh,
There
it
was
did,
a.
but I believe the author is from France.
Oh, yeah, but I'll have to see if they're still over there, if they made the move to here or not, So I'll have to look at. But yeah, because I was gonna say like yeah, my grandmother and my dad's side is like English, so like I think that's why I got them. I think I got them from her, like as a kid or whatever. So I was gonna say I always figured he was like an English character or whatever.
Right on.
But yeah,
So that's when Batman I love by the way that like for a split second as Batman and Robin are crashing through the roof, it looks for a second like they've landed in the wrong building because he's like empty, like where are and then like Riddler slowly walks down, but I was just like that would have been funny if like Riddler
yeah,
managed to
totally
get him
thought
to the
that.
wrong place.
Or he just like guessed the wrong place. He's like, oh fuck, it's
The
bound to
princess is
happen.
in another castle.
It's bound to happen eventually. They'll choose the wrong place to go to, or
Yeah.
guess the wrong place.
So yeah, as I had mentioned before, actually Batman knows exactly who Riddler is. He's like calls him by the name Nygma,
Oh,
and
I know you just say he's like, yeah, it's just a play in their name, and then afterwards, like
mhm,
Riddler, yeah, like Robin's like, what do you mean it's a play in his name? And that's what he says, like, it's Edward Nygma, and then Robin like does like the whole, oh, Enigma, I get it, just to
yeah,
walk the audience through it, if just in case you didn't get
yeah, which will
it.
re repeat it in Batman Forever later on.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh,
So
yeah. That was an exact thing that that he did do. Yeah. I didn't mind Val Kilmer as Batman. He wasn't terrible.
yeah, he definitely was like trying to put his own stamp on things, and I think one of my favorite lines from that is when Dick Grayson's like, you don't understand, like your parents weren't killed by a maniac. And because this is supposed to be the same uh Bruce Wayne who had had his parents killed by the Joker, I just remember his like straight delivery of just, yes, they were.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah. Then I thought you were gonna say like later on in the movie when they get to Two Faces later or whatever, or no, the Riddler's thing out in the ocean. He's like, "Holy rusted metal, Batman." He's like, "What?" He's like, "Yeah." He's like, the metal, it's rusted, so it's holy. Which I always thought was in Batman and Robin, because it was like obviously one of the cheesier lines in the movie. So I saw it. My memory had put it into that movie instead of Forever.
You know what never made sense to me? Why is the third one called Batman Forever and the fourth one called Batman and Robin? Shouldn't it be the reverse?
Yeah, I'm sure at that point, I'm sure they probably weren't thinking of a fourth movie, so they probably figured that like it'd be the last, it might have been the last one, yeah, maybe. But yeah,
Yeah,
that naming scheme never made sense, yeah.
yeah. I can't be the only person who's clicked in on this. Like, yeah,
Yeah, that
that
one
just hit me.
definitely should. Yeah, the third one definitely should have been called Batman and Robin. Yeah, because the fourth one should have been like Batman and Batgirl, or Batman and Robin with Batgirl.
Mhm. So we have this brief fight scene with Riddler, Stugs, and Batman and Robin as Riddler's trying to run away with Mockridge. And Mockridge is just like, like, save me, Batman, I'll pay you. It's like, what are you gonna do? Like, make a check out to Batman? Like,
Or they're saying like, even if it wasn't Bruce Wayne under the Batman mask, I think Batman's morals wouldn't, allow like this Batman at least wouldn't allow him to be bought off. But yeah, I thought it was funny that he was trying to buy off fucking Bruce Wayne, the guy like the richest guy in town. Like here, take my small pittance compared to your fucking billions or whatever. Or I guess at
yeah.
this point it would have been millions. But yeah,
Knowing a guy like Mockridge, I'm gonna safely assume that check's gonna bounce
oh
anyway.
yeah, too. Yeah, so even if he did have the money, like Bruce Wayne's like, dude, I have more than that. I have more money than that in the fucking, my seat, in my car because of loose change.
Yeah. Yeah, he's pulling out bail bonds out of his like or bearer bonds out of the back of his car. So yeah, we have this brief fight scene and Riddler shoots a giant Chinese finger trap at Robin, which I thought was very clever but very funny at the same time.
with his own little twist, which he says a few times, yeah,
Hmm.
throughout the episode, just to be like, hey, I'm smarter. So
Yeah. Yeah, again, this is like I think the importance of the Riddler character, which it can get a little done to death because we've seen so many iterations of him, but it is important that Riddler is not just smart, but that he has this attitude of like, I'm the smartest guy in the room and I'm gonna make you feel like it.
yeah,
Because this is like, the battle of intellects between Batman and Robin, or Batman and Riddler.
yeah. Yeah,
So
so with the figure trap, yeah, like Mockridge, like the Riddler gets away with Mockridge, and then the Batman and Robin drive away, and then they're crossing the then they have the exchange saying like how that you knew his name and blah blah blah. So it was Enigma, and then the entire city starts flashing, and then Batman figures out it's Morse code, and then goes to his like little wrist palm pilot deal. But like I would think that Batman would know and have already memorized what Morse code is, and just he would just be able to be like, okay, I know what it's saying without having to go to a computer to do it. And
you think,
then
right?
then he figures out that yeah yeah when the miniature's owner is high as an elephant's eye, which I think would have taken longer than like the few seconds that he was looking at the lights thinking, because it's like what, like, is it always like three, like or is it, or three, or I guess, or like each little dot and dash for like a letter? It's like, is it three, or is it vary for each letter?
Oh,
Do you
I'm
know?
not the person to ask
Yeah,
that
yeah,
question, man.
because it's something that should have been like taken like a good like 30 seconds, like a minute or two to fucking get through, because that's a fucking long ass sentence. And imagine it's not like a regular sentence, because I imagine there probably wouldn't be like with like sign language and stuff. There's probably some little shortcuts so you can do like certain things of words or whatever to make things
Yeah.
compressed and make things a little bit easier. So I imagine there's probably the same thing in Morse code, maybe. So like
Hmm.
yeah, but so even if there is something like that, like it would probably taken longer than like the 5 seconds that Batman saw like that, like a handful of flashes. He's like, oh, yep, it's this huge ass fucking sentence.
Yeah. But to that question, because Robin's like, what does that mean? Like, high as an elephant's eye. So Batman knows the answer to this because apparently Batman has seen the stage musical Oklahoma. So he knows, like, corn as high as an elephant's eye. But this is what I messaged you, and I'm like, this is pretty funny in the like long run of things because he's like, another word for corn is maze. So he goes to the amusement park where the maze of the Minotaur is, and that's where he sees like a giant jumbotron of Riddler saying, you got to find Mockridge before the his robot Minotaur like stabs him at 4:30 a.m. exactly. So he says you have less than 10 minutes, which means the final act of this episode takes place at 4:20, right after we get the message high as an elephant's eye. I think we figured out why Riddler's color scheme is green.
Or it's just like, yeah, the writers having a fun time just to be like, yeah, be like, hey, Roy said hi, so we need a time for one, right, for those doing something.
Yeah. Well, with all like the psychologically deep episodes, like those guys got to be mellowing with like just a pipe and stuff to just kind of be like, we need to take a minute here. I think we stared too deep into the abyss.
Or maybe if the Riddler got higher so often, he'd be a bit more chill and not trying to let his friggin' IQ take over and he'd be a fucking moron.
Well, like that's the thing is like how smart is the Riddler? Um, not to get too much into a tangent here. There's so like I know the Snyderverse never really like kind of took off to its full potential, but the anti-life equation and how
Did it though? I think it got about as best as it could have.
that's more or less a good point. But in terms of how Snyder wanted to kind of have it in terms of direction, when they were getting closer to like the end goal or like what Justice League, the Nightmare universe, Nightmare with a K, would have looked like with Darkseid taking over the planet, they were going to have the Riddler be the guy who solves the anti-life equation. which I mean, he's smart enough that he probably could. No, no, but this is where it gets wild. As soon as he finds out the answer to the formula, he kills himself because I guess it like just
Oh yeah, man,
horrified him
or it just drove him crazy or whatever.
pretty much. Yeah, like he just like just took a gun and just put it in his mouth, and it's just like, jeez, like
Yeah, that tracks. That does sound very Snyder-esque. Yes.
yeah,
It's friggin' bro edgelord shit. Like, yeah,
it
this is a good
really
movie.
is. Yeah, I like a lot of his stuff, but he is very much pushing the edgelord
Yeah,
envelope.
yeah, I know. Like, as much as it pains me to admit, I do like 300.
Mhm.
Like, I made my heroes scene while I was in college come with me to 300. And they were like, "Fuck, why are you making me do this shit?" And I'm like, I like this movie. I don't care.
Yeah. Well, and they pointed out, like the doctor and Richard were pointing out on their podcast, like it's funny when he has that like very like masculine, like you philosophers and boy lovers, like the Spartans were definitely into men.
Yeah, yeah,
Like history alone will prove
yeah,
that.
yeah. Yeah, we're definitely not. Won't be going to Zack Snyder for historical accuracy. Yeah.
No.
But of course, so they harkens to the people that are going to a fucking like fictional movie for fucking factual like factual like historical fact and stuff, which like that's not what we're here for. So just let go and why just enjoy the fucking stupid ass movie and have some fun.
Yeah. That's why I
Yeah,
go to
no,
Rivers for history lessons because at least I can laugh at the craziness of life.
just watch some action and see Lita Headley's boobs, and it's all good, man. Just have a good time.
Oh man. So yeah, Riddler's like you have like less than 10 minutes to save Mockridge and leave your tool belt. It'll be more interesting that way. Like Batman's gotta be looking like, I am not taking off my pants, Nygma. So they jump into the maze and he says to Robin, so like, how far did you get in this maze? He's like, a little less than halfway. Oh, by the way, did I mention that nobody's ever been able to solve the riddle of the Minotaur? And Batman's kind of like, well, thanks for telling me now.
Well, it didn't come up before, so
Yeah.
so if having Alfred tell me to get off the game, maybe you should fucking ask me about it and stuff and see what's going on, old
Yeah.
man.
When do you take an interest in my life, Bruce?
Yeah, and then in the going in the maze, they come across like a robotic griffin, and then this the second time where he says like, "Hey, I've added a little extra spice to it, where it actually like fire some like a mouthful of fire at him." And like my high school mascot was a griffin. I'm like, I'm fairly certain they didn't breathe fire. They're weird looking, but I'm
And it
fairly
didn't
certain.
look like a lizard. It didn't have like sharp teeth. I'm like, doesn't breathe fire. Doesn't it has a beak? Like Riddler's
Yeah, yeah,
smart
yeah. It
at
was
like
like
knowledge.
yeah, it was like an eagle head, yeah,
Yeah.
whatever the fuck it was. Yeah, so this is all sorts of wrong. Even
Yeah.
though I'm fairly certain my high school wasn't probably like historically accurate either, but I'm fairly certain it's a bit closer than this.
Maybe Riddler's pettiness just came from failing like history and mythology courses.
But I'm smart though. But like, well, not in these subjects, man. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
I'm smart in other ways, man.
And they have a little Last Crusade moment there
Yeah,
too.
yeah, exactly. That's my next note too. Is that the where the one thing was like was it something about losers have to or something like that? And
Don't
he was
lose
like,
your head or
yeah, yeah,
losers ahead.
yeah. So yeah, then they ducked it, and yeah, duck. I'm like, yeah, it's definitely very Last Crusade esque because I saw that. I think I saw that recently, the last few months at Cineplex was airing it, playing it one night. I think it was like the one Indiana Jones movie that I hadn't seen in the theater because I saw the first one a bunch, and then earlier in the year finally saw Temple of Doom at the theater, and then and then they showed Last Crusade, so finally got to see that. Yeah, yeah, that was a
Kalima,
fun time.
Kalima, you betrayed Shiva.
I know that's what I like about the ill-fated Clerks cartoon from like way back. There was like only 6 episodes and like two aired before they finally canned it. But like one of the I think the second or third episode was like a basically like a Temple of Doom ripoff. So I'd seen that more than I seen like actually Temple of Doom. So I because obviously like growing up like the Temple of Doom was always like the third out of the three movies and stuff, and seeing it recently, I was like, yeah, I actually like it a bit better than I remembered, even though
You know that
it had been more
that's
than
the
slightly
first
racist.
PG-13 rated movie.
Oh yeah, well, it's because of that movie is that because
Hmm.
the PG-13 rating is created, yeah, because yeah, it was a bit, yeah, it was a bit too like yeah, looking back at it now, it wasn't bad, but you know, a bit too intense for like for a kid to be going to, especially with the the lava pit and freaking ripping some guy's fucking heart out and stuff. I guess would do
Yeah.
that.
Me and Adam had a joke a couple months back on the Discord where we were talking about like how the thuggy cult have been smuggling all the lava into Gotham. And that's why there's so many lava pits all over the place. Yeah. So Batman and Robin are trying to, dodge all these traps, and Riddler's like, you have 8 minutes left until Mockridge becomes the only good corporate shark, a dead one. And they come to a fork in the maze where there's a riddle written in Arabic, which
Oh, okay.
translate.
I missed that part because I was wondering like how we would have known like the Arab aspect of it because I didn't see that because I was like that's just like randomly pulling out of the air because they went left and
Mhm.
he was like oh no dead end and that's where the hand of fate come down. He's like oh no in the Arab world you only use your right hand. I'm like how the fuck did that come out? So I guess I just missed that part. So I guess that makes more sense.
Which I'm going to be paying attention to Ra's al Ghul's dining habits in the future, because if he picks up a fork with his left, I'm gonna call BS on that, because I know a couple of my friends are Arabic, and as far as I know, this is news to me that that's a thing. Like, I granted I'm right-handed.
Well if they're here, I'm sure they're probably a bit more lax on the rules and stuff, and they probably don't have somebody like threatening to fucking kill you or something to if you don't do what you're told sort of thing. So so maybe that's why they're here. So that's one of the things they don't really do because they don't need to.
Yeah.
So
I should also mention, like, the traps here are very clever. Like, they're very thinking pieces, which between the life and death situations, I'm like, this is what I was saying, like when we watched the Cape and the Cowl episode. There was no real intelligence to Wormwood's traps. Here, like, you have to think to survive. Like, you can't just be the old just like it's not just a matter of Batman being good at gymnastics and dodging a blade. He has to figure out, okay, so if I press this button, A is going to happen. If I press this button, a fireball is going to come at me.
yeah, because the next door they come up to, there's three keys on the thing, and he's like, and Batman's like, "What the fuck?" It says A, C, and D. Where the fuck's the B? And then they try the one, and then two little friggin' spinny blade things come out and almost get them. And then he goes like, "Hey, let's go for the C key." And Robin's like, "No, don't do that. Let's go for the B key." And he's like, "What the hell? Like, why?" He's like, "Because the A key has two. I might be mixing these up. So any music lovers don't fucking come at me. But yeah, like the A key has like two sharps and the C key has three or whatever it is. So yeah, so he's like, yeah, and B key has no sharps. So." We will it won't be off with our head if you use the B key to open the door
Mm-hmm.
or whichever it was or the C key. Sorry, yeah, because the B was missing. So yeah, but so another so that harkens back to the what you were saying is that you actually have to use the hints given to you to actually get through through the next door sort of thing. Yeah.
Which I remember reading the production notes that they said, because again, in going back to the Cape and the Cowl episode, we had mentioned one of the reasons it takes them so long to get to the Riddler in the show is because they wanted to do him justice, is because Batman's supposed to be like a genius in terms of like how he operates as a crime fighter. And they wanted a bunch of riddles that would be smart enough to keep Batman on his toes, but not like, make it easy for him. And I think that's what the challenge was for them with this episode. I think they succeeded at it, was how do we make it smart enough to keep Batman moving forward, but that Riddler is still a step ahead of him?
Yeah, yeah, it was pretty good. Yeah,
And that's when after they've dodged the music trap, they realize they're only halfway through the maze, and Batman's just like, "Oh, that's okay, because I got an idea." So they're supposed to go through these doors. Robin knows the correct door, and Batman purposely goes through the wrong one. And the reason is because when they're getting a question wrong, that's when we had mentioned before the giant hand of fate. Well, Riddler has a literal giant hand of fate, like this, probably about the size of like a sedan golden hand that's like flying through the air, kind of like the magic carpet from Aladdin. And Batman purposely is waiting for the hand to come to him and
yeah,
jumps
because
on it.
yeah, because you see before they went through the last door is that that guy with one of the the sharp things that got thrown at them broke some glass, so he picked up a shard of glass before they went through the door, and then they went the wrong way, sort of thing. So he purposefully calls for the hand of fate to come out of him, so he jumps on that and then cuts into it, and that's and then see that's where we find out he has that little computer thing on his wrist. He calls like the palm, almost calls it a Palm Pilot, but just almost just
He
slightly
kind of
different.
did, yeah.
So it's still don't get sued, and they tied into that, so he was able to fly the hand itself, and then they come and get Robin, and then they fly to the end of the maze to meet up
Just
with
picturing Batman riding that
Riddler.
thing going, I can show you the world.
The Riddler comes over, yeah, it's Prince of Boo Boo.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you know what? That would have also been a good voice for it. Whoever does the voice of Jafar could have been a good Riddler.
Or no, I was thinking that voice for Raj Al Ghul. Yeah, that's what Raj Al Ghul calls Batman when he shows up as Prince of Boo Boo.
Dude, we're getting closer and closer to Ra's al Ghul,
Yeah,
and
yeah, I
that's
think
I'm
yeah,
glad you said that because I need more Ra's al Ghul material.
I think it's coming up soonish. Yeah, because
Yeah.
I think we have at least one Raj Al Ghul episode in the first season. Yeah, I think at least
Mhm.
one.
So Riddler's like, you can't do that. That's cheating. And Batman's like, so what? And just like picks up Robin and they fly to the center of the maze, which it's a very quick detail, but the center of the maze is a giant question mark. And that's
Of
where
course it is.
they
Yeah.
find Mockridge. And he's on this kind of altar, and there's like a minotaur, golden minotaur with like a giant scimitar that's gonna like stab him in like a couple minutes. But he says you have to solve the answer of the riddle in order to save him.
Answer
And the
me
riddle,
these questions. One.
yeah. What is your favorite color?
Red, no blue. Ah!
Oh, I love that scene. So the riddle is, I have billions of eyes, yet I live in darkness. I have billions of ears, yet only four lobes. I have one muscle, yet I rule two hemispheres. What am I? And Batman answers it like very quickly. He's like, the brain. And
A spider. It's a
yeah,
spider, right?
yeah,
It's a spider? No.
it's a jackal, jackal, it's a jackal. And Riddler is just kind of like, no, 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 no. Ah!
Yeah, like yeah, that was like yeah, the end of the Matt Reeves Batman, yeah.
And it's just like, that's great, you solved the riddle, but I'm still gonna send a killer minotaur mech after you. And yeah, this like giant gold minotaur is like chasing them with a sword, and they're like trying to dodge it. And you know what, it was a good scene because that's the challenge with Riddler, is the guy is not physically a challenge, it's
Oh no.
intellect.
Yeah, it's all mind, yeah. And then yeah, then the Minotaur gets dispatched fairly quickly and it gets his like head chopped off. And I was surprised after seeing that, I was surprised that the Minotaur head didn't make it back to the Batcave as like a trophy, like he's seeing in the back or one of the thing that he bested the Riddler for the first time, sort of thing. Because
That's a good point.
it's sitting beside the huge fucking coin or whatever from Two Face or whatever.
Yeah.
And the T-Rex. But I guess it's not big. Oh yeah, because it would be a fucking huge head because it was a huge fucking statue, so yeah, that would make sense. But
But it's no
I
bigger
guess he
than the
could not.
T-Rex head.
But I guess he can get a transport a giant coin or a T-Rex through town and not have a notice over a big fucking golden minotaur head. I guess
Yeah.
that attracts a bit more attention.
I still want to know how he got those things in there.
Yeah,
So yeah, they defeat the Minotaur and Batman's like, "You've lost, Nygma." And he's like, "Oh, lost? I'm not even in the amusement park." And apparently he's been like, teleconferencing them
yeah,
this
yeah,
entire
yeah.
time.
Just like us, he's like zooming in.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he's working from home.
Oh yeah, or he's got the team meetings hooked up or whatever. Yeah, or it's like that share space. Yeah, he was just renting out the that one building for like a temporary office. And he's like, nope, I
Maybe
don't need
that's
me
why
right here.
Mockridge hated him from the start. He's like, you could save a lot of, like employees' energy if you just had them, work from home. Like we're all working on computer stuff. It's like this
Well,
guy has to
well, that's the
go.
thing though. Yeah, that's the thing, even in 2024, like yeah, we all know that big corporations don't like people working from home, so they can just like micromanage them better at home. So like, so even like 30 years ago, they'd be like uh, less apt to let us work from home.
Yeah.
Especially
Work-life
with it,
balance, that's not going to happen on my
it's,
watch.
especially in like 1992, like the internet was barely a thing then. So like so be able to work from home was would have been like a lot harder to do than it is now.
No, but pointless office meetings were definitely a thing.
Yeah. So yeah, you definitely want to be able to zoom in for for like an office meeting then 30 years
Mhm.
ago because yeah, because I think it doesn't even remember like why the first like webcam was invented because it was like the students at like one of the like Stanford or some shit and they like wanted to see when like the coffee machine was like empty so they knew when to make more so they just had a webcam set up looking at the coffee machine so they knew when they had to make more.
History is fascinating when you realize how anticlimactic it is.
or like how sometimes laziness is like the mother of all ingenuity. Because I think there's the one thing or whatever like where you like you get to go to a lazy person to get you to make something because they'll find like the easiest way to do it, sort of thing, or wherever that adage is.
Yeah. So yeah, Riddler gets away, and we cut later to Bruce and Dick at Wayne Manor, and he's been able to get Competitron. Probably got it for a steal because I'm sure Mockridge is just like, I don't want anything for this, and Bruce is like, sweet, and it's a chance to bring work to Gotham, give people some jobs, and so Dick's like, it's not right though that Mockridge, got away with, taking all the credit for the Minotaur game. And Bruce is like, I don't know about that. I have a feeling that Mockridge got a little bit of punishment for his L. So we cut then to Mockridge at his apartment. He's got like a whole bunch of locks that he's like deadbolting on his door. He's carrying a shotgun to bed because he's
Yeah, yeah,
afraid of like Riddler coming to get him.
yeah. Like it has like five locks on his door and stuff. And at first I was kind of thinking they use saving himself from Batman, but I'm like, no, because that didn't make sense. But it's like, because yeah, it made me think of the one storyline or whatever in the comics that like he did something and this rich guy just like kept on like getting like better like security guys and stuff, and it was just for like a week or a month or something that just every single night just kept on breaking into his place and just did that just to show the guy that he could fuck with him that much. Like it doesn't matter what you do, I can't get in and get to you. So like so it just doesn't matter like how good your security is, how much money you have. I will fucking get you. So just keep that in mind so don't do anything in the future. So it made me think of that. I'm like, oh yeah, that doesn't make sense because Batman actually helped him out. So he's actually trying to save himself from the Riddler.
I'm just picturing like Riddler breaking in and like seeing Mockridge with a shotgun. Like, riddle me this, Nygma. What's green, red, and has a hole in its head?
Oh yeah, or that's what he did, and like that's all he does is like get breaks in and just has some shitty fucking stupid riddle and just leaves, and he's like, "That's what you're scared of." Because it wasn't like Riddler was there to he was going to break. It's not like he's the Joker. He's going to break in, and you have literally can't expect what the Joker's going to do, so he could just be like do what anything to you sort of thing. But the Riddler is just smart, so he's not a physical threat. So it doesn't make sense to be that scared of him. I don't think.
Until he sicks a giant minotaur at you.
I guess, yeah. But
Yeah.
in most instances, I think you'd be able to see like a giant a golden minotaur coming. So should be
Even
a
in
should
Gotham, that's true.
that that would stick out a little bit, yeah. So
Yeah. And the episode ends with Mockridge like, just kind of peeking over the covers, like, looking for any like sus activity because he's, like can't sleep. And Bruce's voiceover is, riddle be this, Robin. What did he say? Oh, how much is a good night's sleep worth? Now there's a riddle for you.
oh yeah, because just before that happened, like the Robin was saying that even though yeah, Mockridge got no, he's not running the place anymore. He got like a cool like 10 mil for the buyout. So even though he did get a busted or whatever, he still kind of wins or whatever. And then that's as Batman was saying that you see him doing that and like doing like 5 locks in the shotgun and looking under his bed and checking behind it like every fucking corner. And he's just like super fucking paranoid. Yeah. So yeah, so how much is a good night's sleep? Yeah. So just as he's like under the covers and has like, the sheets were like up to his fucking like eyes. He's just like, oh, so it's a good way to end the episode, yeah. So what would you give this episode out of 5 bad riddles?
You know what? I'm gonna give it a 5 out of 5. I really like the Riddler introduction here. I still say that it would have been nice to see him in the Cape and Cowl episode, but
Yeah.
that's behind us.
Yeah, we're like Gotham. That was like a proto Riddler episode, yeah.
Yeah, but you know what? The riddles were well done. It was a nice change of pace to see Batman in more of like a kind of cat and mouse kind of style where it's like, keeping your mind sharp. And they brought Robin into it. And yeah, John Glover nails it as the Riddler and has enough menace to carry the character forward and make you want more. How about you?
I think I give it a 4 out of 5. Yeah, so for the basically the same things, like good riddles, good introduction episode to the Riddler, even though it should have been the second episode, but it was good. Good introduction for him. Good kind of showcased like what his deal is. Like yeah, because you like, hey, what the fuck's that the Riddler sort of thing. So like yeah, so and then of course he kind of isn't it looks and is exactly what you think a Riddler would be, but it was a good introduction, so I'd give it a 4 out of 5. So yeah, so any last words before we end there? Where the fuck is Max? There you go. Any
I
last
think
words on
Batman
this?
just wanted to save Mockridge for that sweet, sweet Minotaur money.
Or as I said to use a Minotaur head as a trophy, then just decides not to. He's like, oh, this is not real gold, so fuck it.
Even Batman needs paperweights.
I guess, yeah. All right. Thank you, everybody, for joining us this week in the Batcave to talk about Batman the Animated Series and the Riddler. Next week's episode will be Joker's Wild. So yeah, we'll have like it'll be like our fourth or fifth Joker's episode by this point, I think. So yeah, join us next week for that. Thanks. You can follow us on Twitter/X at Beyond Backcast, at Instagram at Beyond the Backcast, and we are on YouTube now fuck if I can talk. We are YouTube at youtube.com/at Beyond the Backcast. So check us out there. So if you're checking us out there, rate, review, subscribe, or if not, like you can find us anywhere you find new podcasts and rate, review, subscribe for us there. Help us out. And where can we find you on the internet, Braden?
You can find me on Instagram at Alfred is Zaddy. and also on the Facebook page, Beyond the Backcast. And please follow us on our Discord. We'd love to chat with you guys about all things Bat and nerdy. I'll be seeing the Joker sequel pretty soon, and I'm watching the Penguin series. So yeah, we got lots of Batman fandom to talk about.
Yeah, so yeah, check out our links and everything where you can find us at Linktree, link.tree or whatever / Beyond the Backcast. You can find me, follow me on Instagram at some Chunkman. That's my personal Instagram. And yes, thanks for joining us in the Batcave to talk about Batman the Animated Series at Beyond the Backcast. Goodbye, good chums. Kapow.